Welcome to the Moving On Again podcast. I'm Jay Norman.
Hi, I'm Jess Norman. Babe, can you believe it's been 7 years since our first show?
I cannot. We started in our first year of marriage doing something we didn't ever think we would do. Blended a family through grace and humility. Still a few dust-ups along the way.
Quite a few dust-ups along the way. I love you.
I love you too. Hi, babe.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. What about you?
I'm doing good. Been a busy morning.
I know. Thank you for making time to do this. We tried to record this episode. Well, we did record this episode last week, and because of some user error by said user speaking that can't remember what happened yesterday, the audio wasn't good.
So it was a practice run.
I apologize, everyone.
I just hope I can remember what all we talked about.
Well, we don't have to and just start fresh.
Well, and so let's talk about our life a little bit.
Okay.
And not having any sports.
No.
2 kids gone to college like we talked about. So our house is a little more empty. We have only 1 kid playing basketball, which is a huge change from 5.
And not even yet.
So, and that's a while off. So it's been kind of an empty spot for us.
It has. Not so many showers, not near as much laundry. Whenever we go through the drive-through, our bills are cut in half. It's really absurd.
And in 6 months, we'll have 2 more driving. And so our time is going to be cut down even more. So, which is kind of scary in a way.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun.
Scary and sad all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got 2 that went to college that we've talked about, and one has kind of found their legs and their friends. One's have been a little bit slower, but they both
not much slower
have joined fraternity and sorority, trying to find their friends and their people.
We are now Greek parents.
Something we don't know anything about. Neither one of us did it, so it's all new.
Yeah. Yep.
But it brings us to our topic of discussion today about finding our people and our friends and what we know about them. And so in talking to our kids, I mean, they both go to college with virtually no friends, maybe some contact with a roommate.
At the college.
Yeah, and they're starting at, like you say, ground zero.
Yeah, reinventing themselves and starting with a clean slate. We didn't know if they would like that or if that wouldn't go well. We really knew it was kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah. And so in talking about them and talking with them and them going through their struggle and trying to help them navigate what they were going through, it started us talking about the same type issues with friends and kind of where we're at and kind of the parameters to, what we consider to be friends.
Watching their methods of trying to find people made us ask ourselves, how did we find our people? Actually, you're the one that brought the question up.
Yeah. Yeah, because we've watched them struggle. And so all that being said, I'll let you introduce the person that is talking with us today.
So this is my wife. She is the right side of my body. You guys saw her. What episode were you on? Do you remember?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. It was so long ago.
Okay, we all can just go look through there for Cam Elliott, and I'll put it in the notes. But so when he was talking about why don't we have a discussion about how we found our people, and I just thought what would be better than having the discussion instead of just with the 2 of us with our person. So introducing my best friend of maybe 5 years now. She's also known as my wife. She's known around here as Aunt Cam, and she's known to everyone on all platforms as Farmer Dolls. This is Cam Elliott.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on here.
I'm glad you're here. No, you're busy too.
Yeah, twice. This is the second round, and she was so gracious. She never made me feel guilty or shame, nothing.
I mean, that's what friends are for, right?
I
think I heckled you a little bit, but just a little bit.
I don't remember you, because even if you would have a little bit, I would have remembered for sure, because I would internalize that. But we have my cousin on next week, and she was saying, I'm glad we got the kinks out before you had him.
Yes, because I know that's going to be so good, and I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Yeah, me too. He's going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So the neat thing about Cam is how our lives interconnect and what we do. She's Jess's best friend, but also one of my best friends, and she does a lot of similar things that I do, and she and I have a lot in common. I'll let you elaborate. I like the way you always explain it better.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's just from the very beginning. Jay and I connect. I mean, Jess and I obviously did, and then Jay was just like he's like the big brother that I never had, and we can sit and talk farming. And when I'm tired of shopping, I'll go find the couch with Jay, and we'll talk about old Western books. And I don't know, it's just a really cool dynamic that we can all hang out and do all the same thing, and then split off and do our own things too. And it's just so much fun.
You're like a good big brother to me too.
And that's the only time I get to watch Western movies is when I'm with Cam.
Why did you just skip?
I'm just going to skip right over that. I'm not even going to address it.
He was like, "Yeah, and yes, and
yes, and he
so
wants to come to my house so we can watch Open Range."
That's right. We always have to watch it, and Jess goes to sleep and stays on her phone and ignores us. So we have a lot of fun doing it for sure. So before we dig in too deep, why don't you say how y'all found each other?
Okay, so it usually takes the two of us to explain it because of my lack of memory. My first memory of her was a post she made saying, "Thank you guys for," do you think maybe it was for your 1-year anniversary?
I think so.
Okay. So I remember her posting her 1-year anniversary. If y'all don't know Cam in person, she's just strikingly beautiful and looks very young. And so when I found her, I was in a very different place. This was probably 5 years ago. Do you think it was in 19? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And 19. And so I was in a real different place, and stuff with social media was real new and naive and green, and it just was different. And I just remember trying to find all of my people on there. I kept searching #farmwives and finding all these pregnant bellies and cornfields. And I had such a frustration on finding my people. I thought it was going to be people, plural, bunch of people. And I found Cam, and I just remember thinking, she is so cool, but she is way too pretty and way too young. She's not going to give me the time of day. Well, then one day on her stories, which I don't even watch stories, so I don't even know how I found hers, she was farming along a mountain range that I recognized from when we're at my parents' home that I grew up in. And so I texted her or DM'd her, "Why did you post a video of my mountains?" kind of teasing her. And she said, "Well, those are my mountains." And we might have talked a little bit more that day, right?
Yeah, probably just a little bit then. Until your NFR post.
Which we go to Las Vegas every December for the National Finals Rodeo. And so I had posted something about finding an outfit, and that's the end of the story. I mean, she DM'd me and was like, "You do that?" And I was like, "Yes, do you?" And so we talked nonstop for the next 24 hours about the rodeo and fashion, and you sent me pictures of your past looks, and I came back to Jay and I was so upset. And he was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I love her, but she's too young. Like, she's going to be 15 years younger than me. I don't know what to do." And he was like, why would it matter? And Jay was like, "We're just going to pray." I remember where we were sitting when we talked about it. He goes, "We're just going to pray she's 10 years younger than she looks." And it was like the next day she posted a picture of her and her husband, which her husband does look my age because he is my age. And I was like, "Oh, we might have a chance. We might have a chance." Because I knew if you were as young as you looked, at least I still, hung around people. Yeah. And so then we finally talked about it, and I was like, she's like 4.5 years younger than me. And I was just like, never been happier to find out someone's age in my life.
And that's so funny because I didn't know this story for like a year, at least a year into our friendship.
Really? I didn't say.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never said.
Or maybe you might have learned about it on the first episode that we recorded.
Maybe. I don't know, but it was a while. I mean, we had been like friends for a long time before I knew.
Yeah, I think we had that conversation one of the first times we were all together, actually, is I think when all that
Or
really kind of came to pass.
in Jackson
Yeah.
Hole. They all surprised me for my 40th in Jackson Hole. But if y'all know about our relationship or have seen us or know anything about Kim, she's just kind of one of those people that connects richly, and you know that that's my love language.
Yep.
So maybe we'll talk every day, maybe we'll talk once every week or every 2 weeks, and it floats us because the connection, it's not small talk, it's not surface. Nothing is surface in our relationship. And I can tell her anything I need to, and she is the safest space for me to land.
Yep.
I think that's probably the most important thing in my life for a friendship is I am crazy busy, and a lot of times I'm 14 hours a day in a tractor and I don't have phone service.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to like have a relationship that I can feel so strong in, but not feel like I have to babysit all the time. And then, if I can't talk to you every day and we pick up in 2 weeks and it's just right where we left off, like that to me is like the biggest thing I need in a friendship, or that I cherish, I guess, in a friendship.
I do think that you probably are my only person besides Jay that if I left you on read, like I left a text unanswered, it wouldn't even occur to me. I would just go ahead and tell you my next. Say I left you on read 4 days ago, I would probably be like, oh gosh, I missed that. I was cooking. I'd have all these excuses and I would try to repair it. With you, it's not a thought. It's just a steady stream of thoughts. And so I'm just going to see that I left you on read and text you what I came to text you. That's pretty freeing. That's a freedom in relationship. That's pretty neat.
I love that part.
You do? I'm glad Kim didn't just go, yeah, about that. I hate that when you do that.
No, I probably don't even notice.
She's like, I need to talk to you about something after the show.
Yeah. So for me, I never even really knew what connection was until
That's so sad, honey.
Until
Let's
I married.
pour some out. We're some poor. Let's pour
Until
some
I
out.
married Jess and really kind of figured all that out, and really never knew it in a friendship until I met Cam and was able to sit down with her and just talk about anything.
That is really nice.
Well, it's a true story. And so, I mean, that's just the way I feel about it. And I think, when you're talking about connection, and I think a lot of people, maybe like me and didn't truly understand, to really how deep it runs until you find it. And I think that's an important part of the story, and how y'all, what are y'all's thoughts around not just our relationship as far as connection, but just connection in general?
Gosh, I think I need to have a good cry real quick.
Yeah.
With me, I've done a lot of self-reflection, and, after the separation and the divorce, I found myself in a really dark ditch. And in trying to get up out of that ditch and reinvent myself and try to save my children, I knew that would be in repairing my mental and emotional health. And so I've had to really learn a lot about myself, because what we've all found is the ability you are able to connect with each other is only as deep as the level you're able to connect with yourself. And so that's why you do have these surface relationships or the small talk, and because maybe you're not communicating with someone that has really decided to learn who they are. And I think that is why it was so quick with Cam. And that's why I think, Jay, you make my heart sing by you saying that. But it can't be true, because I couldn't have connected with you on the level that we did if you didn't know how to do that.
Yeah. I don't know, too, that maybe that I had never connected. It was more about the recognition of it and what it really was, and really what it meant to a relationship as a whole.
Yeah.
That was really what I meant in saying that. So
yeah,
kind of like what you said.
Like what it brings to your life. Maybe you didn't recognize that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, the importance of it. And
I think for me, I am introverted, and that I think is the biggest reason that, like, deep connection, like I want a friendship that, like, if you're going to be my friend, I'm going to have you forever. Like, I don't need like 15 people to like say hi to in the grocery store. Like, no, no, thank you. I'm like, put my sunglasses on and walk through that aisle, and no one's going to see me, So that, I think that's why the deeper connection means so much to me, because I don't want all the little stuff.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about deep connection and friends, I mean, what are the main qualities that you both are looking for?
I think for me, like, acknowledgement is like a big thing. I like want to acknowledge when you do something like nice, like when you, and we've talked about this a whole bunch of times, when I was diagnosed with cancer, the next day you were here. And like, I wanted to acknowledge that for years, and I still do. Like, that meant so much to me. And those kind of things, just like acknowledgement of any kind of part of a life, I love that.
Same. I try to notice those things that make my heart beat fast or my heart sing. We had gone down to Baton Rouge, and my brother called, and the guys were going to go to the camp, and Jacob spoke up and said, first, it's hot as balls outside, so I don't think I'd like to go. And second, I have a little sister coming in town that would also be hot as balls if she found out I'm leaving. And it made my heart leap out of my chest. And I just thought, wonder what that is about that moment that makes me feel so loved and cherished. And it's just like when I come visit you and you introduce me to your people and you say, this is my best friend, Jess. Not one of my best friends, because you do have very enriched relationships in your life that I would never mind sharing with, like Robin and Brendy, like everybody, Jen, like that's so close to you. But for you to say, this is my best friend, Jess, it makes me want to do a backflip. And I'm not exactly sure why.
Well, I think just loyalty in general is probably pretty hard to find somewhat in today's world. And I feel like there's...
to be counted.
Yeah, there's a lot of that's, goes on, especially in this relationship. And, something that's just a little bit harder to find.
Yeah.
What about for y'all when you're looking?
Going back, what's your things?
I think that I touched on that, just saying the loyalty and just knowing that whatever situation I'm in, whatever mood I'm in, wherever we're at, that y'all are going to be there no matter what's going on. You're going to be loyal no matter, if it's good, bad, or indifferent, and you're going to show up and be there.
That we're not going anywhere, no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like, well, we're at NFR and it's fun, and I like hanging out with you in a fun situation. But then if it's something that's not, if it's just every day we're sitting here at the couch and we got 2 days to kill, I'm not really into that. It's just not that way. It's just whatever's going on. There's a certain amount of loyalty there. I'm your friend, and I'm going to be here to be with you, whatever's going on.
Yeah, I saw a neat meme today that said, I could hear 500 bad things about you, and only you can change my mind. Only something you did. It's not going to change the way I feel about you. Only your actions towards me can change my mind. And that's honestly how I feel.
Yeah, that's great.
So what is a deal breaker for you?
Not much, huh? I'm not.
She's all in.
I am. I mean, I think that's why I am all in, is because if I'm going to pick the two of you, there's not going to be...
Well, I'm saying friendships in general. I know small talk is a deal breaker for you, but outside of that, what else is there? And for you too, Cam?
I think something that makes me feel uncomfortable is if I leave a room or I leave a table and I feel like they are going to talk about me in a negative way, or if I can kind of sense that even next to me, they're talking to someone else about me. That makes me so uncomfortable. And I'm like, and I'm out on that. Like, I just can't, I don't need to prove to you that I'm awesome, but I cannot stay in a space that you didn't get it.
Yeah. I think just to piggyback on that part is like the same kind of this. I feel the same way when you're around a group of people and they're talking about someone else.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. That's something that you and Sherry and we do not talk about people like at all. Because I think we have come to a level in an age where we realize that doesn't necessarily stop ever. If it gets going, it's just going to keep going.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. What about you, babe? Something that is
But a lot for me is just somebody that's interested enough in you to ask you questions about yourself and not just tell you everything about themselves.
oh yeah.
So,
They say to be interested, not interesting.
yep,
Yeah,
I
I
think
get it.
that's a big deal. What about you two? Anything in particular over and above what we've said today that makes you feel loved or that's extra special to you?
I think one of mine, it was like our fifth time to travel together, and we were laying in a hotel room in Dallas, just rotting in our beds on our phone with a glass of wine spritzer. And Cam was like, this is so nice. Like, we hadn't talked to each other in like 3 hours, but we didn't need to, And when Cam comes to our house, she spends the weekend upstairs in our bedroom, so we all sleep in the same space. And you have to have a level of closeness and comfortability to be able to do that.
Right.
And so I think sometimes we try to think of our relationships in the level of, could we travel? Could we see ourselves traveling with these people,
Yeah.
or have we traveled with these people and it went well? And then it goes to, could we have people spend the night at our home? And then Cam's staying upstairs in our bedroom. So
Yeah.
I just think there's just such a level of easiness and chill that's you add to my space. You don't take any of my battery or anything from my cup. You add to it, just by being present. I think that's very different. Hard to find.
Do you remember the first night I stayed up there and I said, "We met on Instagram," and then we continued to say goodnight like we were the Waltons. Goodnight, John.
Yeah.
Nighttime,
Yeah,
Blake.
that was pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah, she goes, I met you guys. Was that from Casey or from Jack?
I don't remember.
Casey always tells Jay, I met you on the internet. That's what our friend Casey West, she's going to be able to meet us up in Las Vegas this year. So we're so excited. But yeah, we were with Casey at like 2 a.m. Cam,
Yeah, y'all both went in.
we wouldn't have sent her by herself.
Yeah.
But anyways, we go to the CVS and Cam and I go inside and she tells Jay, I met you online and now I'm sitting in a car with you at 2 a.m. And then Jack used to always just be really upset about us until he knew us. He did not, rightfully so, he did not trust that we were not serial killers, And so her first visit, she just was like, I met y'all on the internet. She just called down from upstairs. It was so funny.
Yeah, I remember when we first met in person, I was like, okay, I'm going to get ready. I'm going to meet them here in like 30 minutes. And he's like, I'm going downstairs to check them out, make sure they look like they like you guys were catfishing me. And I'm like, I've video called them before. Like, I know what they look like.
Yeah.
If not, they're pretty good at faking this stuff.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that was.
I know there was one time too where you texted, can you and Jay get on a FaceTime? And I said, yeah, what's up? Like, it was not an emergency, but it was important. And I said, what's going on? And you said, Jack had a tough day. And for you to call us to be able to talk to Jack through his tough day, it injected so much importance into our relationship. And that was pretty early on. And I was like, oh, we're doing this. Like, you mean we're doing this? Like, we're going to do life together this way, the good stuff, the bad stuff. I think that's important to note when you lean on each other like that, how it kind of grabs another gear, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think, a big part of my relationship with or your relationship, how it means to me is, I don't have, I have Brindy and Brandy and I have all these people, but I don't have a couple that Jack and I both love dearly that are in sort of the same position in life that we are in. You know, like we can travel and we can do things, and you know, and y'all can do the same things, and we all love music, and we're just like all four of us. Like, I can put Jack and Jay in a room. I can put Jess and Jack in a room. Jay and I can be, you know, like it doesn't matter. Like we all get along so good, and that just means so much to me.
Yeah, you don't find that a lot.
Right.
I think a lot of people know what it's like to meet a new friend and introduce the husbands and it not work out because it just doesn't. And so that's always a fear that either he's not going to like the wife or, you know, something like that. And so for, like you say, the relationships in that equation to all work was pretty lucky.
So then here I would just
go ahead, Kimber.
I would just add this like encouragement to someone listening that's like, I don't have my people, and like maybe I'm not going to find my people, or, you know, something like that, that like we found our people on Instagram from commenting on a story 5 years ago, you know, like just because someone, well, just like you saying you thought I was too pretty, which is silly, and you thought I was too young, which is also silly. You know, like those are silly things that you had in your head, and had you not actually sent that message, we wouldn't be here. And like, that is insane, you know? So like, don't stop. There's enough love out there for everyone. Just go for it.
So much love to cover it. And a lot of people think that you have to find your person in high school. And if you don't, you have one more chance, and that's in college. And you and I were like 34 and 39 before we found each other. I feel like you would kind of give up before then. Because you kind of feel like everybody by this point, everybody has found their person, you know.
But that's
so just keep trying.
That's such a cool thing about life, I think, is like, you know, you go in phases. Like I still have my best friends from high school. You know, I mean, I still have friends that I've gathered along the way, and they're still going to be my friends for the rest of my life. But, you know, I'm older now, and like, you know, as life progresses, your friendships can also progress.
Speaking of, I hadn't even told Jay this. Jay ran in from work and jumped on a microphone, so he and I haven't been able to catch up. But I had 3 or 4 best guy friends in high school, and one of them, and in college too, and one of them was named Brandon. And we have planned for a few days. He and his wife have been going back and listening to our podcast, and we have planned for a few days to have a phone date to catch up on the last 14 years. And I was like, that is so overwhelming when you put it like that. However, we had a phone date this morning from 9 to 10. His name is Brandon, and it did such good for my soul. And what's so funny is we were just so close. And so, like you say, you can just pick right back up where you left off, you know, and his children are 18, 16, and 12, and our kids are 18, 15, and 12. He has one that just went to college, and we have 2 that just went to college. And, you know, he would be like, let me just try to condense this next story. And I'm like, no, use so many words. Like, he would just talk and talk and talk. And I'm like, I'm inhaling what you're saying because I care so much about you. I have for my whole life. And I want to hear everything you have to say. And what's so funny, side note, he said his wife, Cherith, went back and started on episode 1, and Brandon has started at episode 55. And so he's working back and she's working forward. And I was like, please tell her that that's my nightmare, because it's almost like you documented your teenage years and they're there for everyone to hear, you know? So, but yes, so I got to talk to him today, and just the importance of the connection and the reconnection. My heart has felt so full today by getting to do that with him for an hour.
You always talk about seasons and things you go through. And I think, like you said, you have those friends in high school, and you have those friends after, you know, if you're doing a certain thing in your life, and you just go back and pick up with the ones you were close to. But I think sometimes the seasons do dictate your friendship. But I think the older you get, the more you cherish the good ones, and the more you make a point to hang on to them, for sure.
I like that, babe.
So,
yeah, that's good.
I like that. That's good, honey.
One thing that we haven't mentioned about our relationship is the level of comedy that Cam and I get to enjoy from her husband Jack and from Jess. We spend a lot of time laughing, and I really think ultimately, if you look back, our first time that we were together, and that's the hardest I've ever laughed in my life.
Yes.
And I think it just kind of sealed the deal. And ever since then, because Cam and I both are pretty easy to laugh, and we have two. She's married to one, and me the one that are pretty good about making you laugh. So,
oh my gosh, that was, and going into that trip, we had Jess's 40th birthday. She had reached out and wanted everybody to come meet them, and we all had crazy excuses why we couldn't. Mine was hay season, which was really believable, and I was still posting like stories and everything like I was in a tractor. Well, the whole while Jay and I had been planning this for months, and so she had no idea we showed up, and it was so much fun, and I ended up staying longer than the rest of the girls, and it was the first time the three of us were together, and that was the funniest. Yeah, you're right. I've never laughed that hard in my whole life. And that definitely did seal the deal. I mean, from then on, it was like I'd never been more comfortable with people, just because like we laughed about the same thing for like 9 hours straight.
Well, my dad
till we were sick.
My dad taught us that if we love someone, we tease them. And so I tease. That's why I don't have any friends, because nobody likes to be teased. But Jay, that's why she's my wife. Jay and Cam hit it off so well. I mean, I left them on the couch talking, went and took a nap, and came back down, and I swear they were sitting Indian style facing each other on the couch talking. And it was like 3 hours later. And so then the new bit was to be like, he stole my best friend. Like, she's not mine anymore. She's Jay's. So they kept just droning really about equipment and everything. And so we get in the car. I forget where we're going, and I just start a video.
We were going to the redwood forest, remember?
I still don't know where they were. I thought that Jackson Hole was all of those big redwood trees, and I didn't tell them till like 3 days in. I was like, when are we going to go see those? Anyways, so we get in the car, and I just kind of turn my phone on, and I start making fun of how they interact with each other, which is absolutely sappy adoration. Roll my eyes. And so I go this skit about how she's telling him she has this tractor, and Jay cannot believe she has this certain tractor, and she's like, you can come see it whenever you want. And so it was just an improv, real nice, quick and dirty. We laughed. We played it. I think it had like 1,000 plays on Facebook, and we were the 1,000. We cracked ourselves up. We just kept watching it. And say we watched it for the 50th time, it was like watching it for the first time. Like, we had tears, and we were crying. We were laughing so hard.
Your voice is for us. Just, oh God.
So I think there's 4 in total. So then each trip, every time we used to get together, they would say you have to make one. There was so much pressure. Even people online were like, we can't wait for the Jay. And I'm like, I'm not an improver. I can't do this. It's not funny anymore. And so I think there are 4 total. And so we'll make sure to post them. We'll unearth them. We'll unearth them for all this.
Yeah, I think I have I know I do. I have a whole highlight of Jess as Cam on my Instagram.
So if y'all don't see it on wherever I post it, go to Cam's Instagram and look at her highlight buttons. And I think it's called like Jess something.
Jess as Cam, I think.
Jess as Cam. Yeah, they're all there.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I will have to say that is the hardest I've ever laughed. And the funny part about the redwood trees is they would have had to been across the street. She would have never left town to go see them if they were close.
It was my birthday. Cam left, and we had one more day. I don't remember if it was my actual birthday or it was just one more day. I can't remember. But anyways, he goes, hey, we have one more day left. He found us the finest studio apartment in downtown Jackson Hole, finest thing you've ever seen, with the coolest upstairs patio. And he said, what do you want to do your last day? Bob Goff had just come out with a new book. And I said, I just want my book, my coffee, to do some yoga, like on the patio. I just want to be there all day long. He's like, awesome. So he leaves and he comes back and he says, hey, I know how we can see 4 different states in one drive today. And I was like, how long would that take? I mean, that's my nightmare. And I was like, how long would that take? And he's like, oh, about 9 hours. And I was like, no. And so we compromised and we drove about 13 minutes out to this little. We found this little creek.
We crossed over into Idaho by 20 foot, stopped on the creek bank. I thought, we'll sit here on this bench a little while. I sat down, 30 seconds later, she goes, let's go. And we left. So, but, the funny part about a lot of that is, you didn't talk about it earlier, but in the build up to all this, and Jess, it goes back to what we're talking about today in Friends, is that she was really ho-hum about how things were going, about her friendship. Cam had kind of pulled away because she was trying not to mess up the surprise, and so Jess thought that she was mad at her in some way.
No, I didn't think mad. I just thought, no, never mad. I never thought she was mad at me. I just thought our relationship had run its course. And so Cam was just so worried about running the surprise that she had honestly stopped talking to me. And she was talking to Jay. And I think in talking to Jay, she felt close to me maybe. And so I remember like a week before, he was like, have you talked to Cam? And I was like, no, I think she's been hanging out with this new girl that was printing all of her shirts and stuff. And I mean, it was fine. I'm kind of used to ebbs and flows like that. Had never really kept a best friend for very long until Cam. So to me, it was kind of normal.
Well, I think, too, that you were just in that spot. And we get to Jackson Hole, and you had talked about it on the way up there on the plane. Like, she just felt like she didn't, necessarily have the right friends. And yeah, and I mean, and she's really kind of, I can see her kind of mentally going downhill a little bit, like really getting upset about it. And we get to the house and we get in there and she's just not in a real good place. And
I wasn't.
And I mean, and I'm texting every little bit saying like, how could y'all hurry the hell up because I'm fixing to lose her here. And so we're sitting there and I know they're close and somebody knocks at the door and I tell her that it's Flowers and she just like just gets up and goes over the door. And that video would probably be worth posting too because it was a huge moment in their life. And really honestly, for us, it really set us down the path to be here today.
Yeah, you're right.
It really does. It really set the course to that change. And because I don't think you've ever looked back or felt that way since then.
No, because we were sitting in our Jeep. We had gone somewhere the night before, and I just had a full-blown anxiety attack because I was bullying myself. I was like, where are you with your life? Here you are turning 40. You're going to blow out birthday candles alone. Like your kids are going to watch you blow out birthday candles with 0 friends standing around you. And I had just really gone after myself hard. And so when I get to Jackson Hole, that depression set in and I got real low. It set on me. And he asked me to answer that door and I was just like, what's the point?
I wish I could recreate your walk to that door.
And what's really funny is I can remember it like it's yesterday. So it was Brenna, Ashley, and Cam. And I remember like it was yesterday asking Cam, can you stay here? Like, can you stay? Because I really thought in my head they were going to surprise me, turn around, and go back to their cars. And she was like, well, yeah, we're staying till Monday, which was like 4 days later. And I've never felt a joy in my entire life because it was like I had to figure out what was going on in phases. Do you remember?
That's the funniest part of the whole video. You had a hold of my face and you're like, you are? Well, heck yes I am. I just drove 13 hours. I'm not turning around and driving back.
Let's blow the candles out. I'm gone.
I know, but that has to tell y'all how my mind works. I went from having 0 friends to thinking I might have a friend for like 30 seconds before she says psych and gets back in her car. I wouldn't even, I couldn't believe great stuff would happen.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah.
So changing pace a little bit, I got a question for both of you, and I think I know how both of you are going to answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Okay.
Do you consider yourself to be the one that usually invites, includes, or the one that gets invited and included?
I'll start. I think I have 2 answers for that. Like, here at home, my core group of people are like mainly Jackson and his friends, and so I am always. They're like my children. All of them, obviously not my husband, but the rest of them are like my children. All the farm guys are like my children. So I am like all the time inviting them over here to eat, and for holidays, I feel like I'm the one that invites people. But to do just to go do things, I'm the one being invited because I'm just fine staying home most of the time.
Right. I think that I used to be someone that relied on being invited and then got my own feelings hurt when I wasn't invited. And then when I was trying to teach my children, like, you guys, all of you at high school, you're all the same age. So there's not a certain there's not a certain group of people that it's their job to invite you to sit with them at lunch, and it's your job to be invited to sit at lunch. You need to be taking just as much part in the inviting. And when I was trying to teach that to them, I wanted to model that. And so I do believe that I have learned just in the past maybe 2 years to be the one regularly inviting like our friends to dinner or a girlfriend to go on a walk or something like that.
Well, I think it's key for us because I've heard you say it to the kids many times is, they don't feel like they're getting included or they don't have a friend. And you always say, well, did you ask them?
Yeah.
And it got me started doing the same thing. And same thing in my life. I, never really had thought about it or put any thought into it that, you can't really be invited somewhere if you're not inviting somebody. And so I think that's key.
We went through that, or I went through that. Our friends locally here all went on a trip. I think we've even talked about it. And it bit a little bit. And then I thought, when is the last time you have organized a trip and asked your friends to go? And we hadn't. We love to travel alone. And I was like, how dare you love to travel alone and then find any weirdness in a group of your friends traveling without you when you'd never asked them to do a single thing. And so just some reality checks, I feel like.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty hard society at times to feel like you fit in and feel like you to meet the mark for the way I think social media sets it up to be, and I think it makes it difficult for people. But I do feel like what we're saying today and what we found just in the relationship between the 4 of us is just showing up for each other and including whether if you can make it or not or whatever's going on, you just make the effort to invite. And I know we found from our kids, and especially here and recently, is that, putting yourself out there and
let your yes be yes.
Yeah, and asking people to do stuff with you. Yeah. I mean, I think is a big deal, and just, I think encouragement, period, in whatever you're doing, whether, that's me encouraging Jess doing a podcast or, talking to Cam about speaking somewhere or, go do that. And I think that's a big deal between y'all, the things you've accomplished just by being there to encourage each other, I think is a big part of society that probably gets left out.
Yeah, we for sure get each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing I think I would say that I love about, our mature relationship that we have is, like I can invite you guys to come wherever I'm going to, wherever I'm going to be. And even if you're like, I don't think it's going to work, like I don't have my feelings hurt. I was just happy that I could include you guys,
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah,
feeling.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Cam's used to it. Every time we're doing something here, I'll ask her, "You getting on a plane flying down here?"
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
we take turns.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, I'm like, gosh, I want to, but hay season.
Yeah.
Got to do what we got to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's been a lot of fun with you
Mhm.
two today, and I have one final question
Okay.
for the both of you. What is your most favorite vehicle you ever owned?
Oh, I like that.
Oh, easy. Hands down, my 1967 small window Chevy pickup, Bert, my farm truck.
Mhm.
Gosh, I love that thing. And
I
he
love
Heard in
turned,
many videos.
yeah, and he turned some heads now. I mean, I get more people talk to me at the gas station about that truck than,
Really?
oh my gosh. Guys will be like, oh, wow, you drive that thing? I'm like, yeah, it's mine. Back up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's mine and my dogs.
Yeah. I love that
What
thing.
was yours, babe?
I think mine would have to be a Dodge Dually. First Cummins that I had, I wanted one so bad. They came out when I was in college, and I wanted one really bad. I'd never owned a diesel pickup before, and I think that was the first one. It was ugly and rode like a buckboard, but I sure did love it.
You loved it.
Yeah, I bought it used, and it lasted a long time.
Yeah.
I had a 1999 Grand Am GT. It had dual exhaust and it was red. And the little console that you sat in just kind of wrapped around you like a cockpit pit. And until then, we were required to drive trucks. It was my first car that wasn't a Ford Ranger. I drove Ford Rangers. And I just felt so jazzy and cool and pretty in it. I was like, I can't wait to buy some sunglasses and drive that. I was going to LSU at the time and just drive it around LSU, and it was fast and it would light up. All of the neon lights were so pretty. It was my favorite.
Wasn't any music playing, was there?
Yes, until then and since then, I haven't really felt all that special in a vehicle, and I really miss that. I really have been looking for kind of a diamond in the rough. I love like an old Land Cruiser, and I love these new Broncos, but their crash test ratings are not very good, and I miss having a car that I just felt really special in.
Yep.
I love your tell them about your truck. I love your truck.
I bought a 96 model Ford diesel with a flatbed on it. A friend of mine made it into a hay truck, converted it from a camper truck to a hay truck, and it's really pretty. He did a lot of work to it and redid it, and I just bought it for the look and thinking that one of the girls might
It's
drive
so
it at some
pretty.
point.
Yeah, it's red, cherry apple red. It's
Yeah, it's
so
pretty.
pretty.
That is
He did a good job.
That's a nice pickup.
Yep.
Yeah, I want you to get it going again so I can drive it.
Yeah, I rented out a diesel, and I haven't had time to get it back running.
The what do you call it?
The tank switch, it showed it had half a tank, but it was empty, and it sucked a bunch of air. And
Cam, tell them about your special case that you have to do with your phone going down the street.
My what now?
Your speedometer.
Oh, yeah, my pickup doesn't have a speedometer, but I do have a really fancy magnet on the back of my phone, and it goes on my dashboard. And so my phone is my speedometer.
that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's pretty tech savvy, if you ask
is.
me.
Hey, I use it all the time now, not just for my old farm pickup, but Jack's his off-road truck, the speedometer, like the tires are so big that the speedometer is totally off. And so he always asks me to use it in there, and I use it a bunch now.
That's awesome.
Cam and I both have driven expeditions at one time or another, and I loved mine because it would show me in two little symbols. It would show me a picture of a speed sign with the speed of the area I was going in, and then it would show me my speed. And sometimes I would my OCD, I just kind of would like to line those speeds up. Well, one day I got pulled over, and I remember I was doing a 50 and a 50. And he pulled me over, and I said, is everything okay? And he said, I got you doing a 50 and a 40. And on my dash, it said 0 because I was stopped, and then it said 50, like for that to be the speed limit. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. My car told me that it's 50 through here. And I actually got let go because he looked at my dash. He was like, okay, all right. This never happened before, but I will allow this one. And so I got a warning. It was really nice. My Suburban doesn't do that.
No.
Mm-mm.
Some of us just disregard what they say.
I was just about to say, like, it would just really mess up your OCD if you looked over when Jay was driving.
Yes, I know. When we were following each other home from school the other day, and he called me, he said, hey, babe, there's a cop up here at highway such and such. He said, slow down. And I said, how fast do you think I'm going? And because it's like, is it 70 or 75?
75, I believe.
And I was doing 56.
I don't try to follow her anywhere I can help it.
Or Henley, neither of them.
Mm-mm.
Henley says I make him angry.
Yeah.
How slow I go. I just dawdle and get in my own world.
That's funny. I could do that in the farm truck too. That's why I have the speedometer. And especially my other big issue is I spent all day on the tractor going 4 miles an hour or something, and then I get in that pickup, and I'm like cruising down the highway at 30, really feeling like I'm doing something.
You're setting the world on fire and you're barely going. Bert's like, come on, let's go.
Yeah, that's the main reason why I have to have that speedometer on my phone.
Well, it's been a lot of fun on here with you today, and getting the chance to do this and see you and spend some time with you.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, thank y'all for doing this again with us.
It's never a hardship to spend my afternoon talking to y'all.
We got to have Jack on the first one. It was such a sweet surprise. And he took Cam's headphones off her head. It looked like he was sitting on her lap, but I think he was kind of on the edge of her seat. And he had that mic up in the air like a rock star to his mouth. And we thought he was just going to say hello and go. And he was just like, well, Cam, get me a chair. And it was so funny. We were like, he's here. And we wanted him today to do the entire episode with us, but we couldn't get him. But if I can revive any of that audio from that first of Jack, I'll get it posted somehow.
Yeah, they missed out on a treat today.
I'm sorry, y'all.
Yeah, he was so excited when we finished that night when we were eating dinner, and he was like, I just debuted my first podcast. And I was like, you sure did, babe.
Yeah, but tell him, he told Cam, I understand why you like doing that now.
Yeah, he did say that. He said, I understand why you like doing that. That was fun.
All right. Well, you have bought 0 items for NFR, and this is your last warning because you bully me every year because you're always ahead of me.
Well, it is still September. It is.
Yeah, but you usually have stuff by now.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hay season ran a little late this year. I've been a little busy. I'll get right on it.
Cold and raining time to
I
start.
don't have much going, but I do have maybe like 4 items. But I think last year I had 0 in December. Remember?
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, I was your biggest problem.
Cambria, you have a great rest of your day. We love you.
Thank you. We love you.
She said like always. I love you.
I love you
Dave,
too.
what else you got?
She said like always. Y'all are just going to brush past.
We just went on.
I love her
We're
so
used
much.
What else you got?
Let Kim do it with us.
Okay.
Kim, just say what I say, okay?
Okay.
What else you got?
I think that's it.
I think that's it.
Well, as the song says, the road goes on forever and the party never ends.
I love you.
I love you.
I love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.